This video may contain offensive language or be frightening to some viewers. Viewer discretion is recommended. My Summer Job, Part 3. Night 4. I got to the place at 11:50. As soon as I entered, I ran straight to the back of the building. I didn't have the bravery to look at those animatronics in the eye. It sounded silly, but it was true. When I entered the office, it was very messy. There were some papers on the floor, the fan was flung across the room, and the camera screen had a small crack in it. Strange, I thought, as I pressed the button on the message machine. Hello? Whoa. Day 4. Good job. The man sounded dull and non-quirky, like he usually was. I also heard a banging sound in the message. I was beginning to get a little creeped out. Hey, I may not be around to send you any more messages. It's been a bad night here. I was beginning to wonder what exactly was going on, and I started getting a small sense of anxiety rising in my stomach. Hey, if you get the chance, can you check out one of those suits in the back? I might be... The sound of a familiar tune cut him off. It was the tune that Freddy always used to play as part of his act. Could Freddy be doing something with this man? Oh no, he finished. The message kept going as I heard the sound of a man and some other thing scream, along with a very loud cracking sound. I was terrified, shocked with fear, and could not move. What happened to him? Did he just die? That explained the place being a mess, but how did this happen? It sounded like something impossible. No computer-programmed creation could act like this, even if it was malfunctioning. I sat for an hour, not looking at the cameras or door lights. I was too terrified to do anything. What snapped me out of my daze was the sound of heavy footsteps approaching me on the right. I didn't even check the door lights. I didn't look at the cameras. I just ran straight out of the room to the right to face whatever the thing making those footsteps was. I was confident, angry, and scared all at the same time. As soon as I entered the East Hall, those feelings left me, except for fear. There, looking straight at me, were a pair of white eyes. I just looked at it until it began moving forward and started laughing. It sounded just like Freddy's voice, so there was no doubt that what I was facing was Freddy. I ran straight back to the security office. As soon as I entered, I began hearing footsteps coming full speed after me, and the other door. I closed the door that Freddy was by just in time. As soon as I was about to close the other door, I saw the fox. It was running straight for me, mouth open and tears all over it, revealing its innards. I pressed the door button right before it entered, its nose being less than a foot away from me. I sat and let the power drain. At 2 AM, it was at 72%. By 3, it was at 49%. At 4 AM, it was 28%, and at 5:30, it was at 12. I didn't know if I could survive, and I began to not care. I was slipping away. One of my favourite childhood memories has been turned into a living nightmare. I awoke to my boss shaking me. He told me it was 7 AM and I needed to go home. There had been an accident. I asked what, but he said I shouldn't worry and I should go home and get some rest. He appeared not to care that I was sleeping on the job and just let me go without saying a word on the matter. As I was leaving, I could smell a very foul odour coming from the main stage area, and all the bots appeared to have red marks around their eyes. I thought I was just imagining them, because I do experience hallucinations from time to time, but there was a part of myself telling me that those marks were real. When I stepped outside, there were a lot of police cars out there. I saw some policemen talking to the owner and others writing down information. I also saw that car from a couple of nights ago when I arrived for my shift parked in the parking lot. It had caution tape around it, which caused me to believe it belonged to my mentor. When I got home, I did all my research on finding some info on the old security guard. After a good 2 hours of research, I came across the name Todd Smith. I believe it could possibly be the name of the man I'm looking for, but I'm not sure. I thought about asking my boss his name tomorrow. For now, I just had to get some sleep. Night 5. I didn't want to go to work at all. I was too terrified, but I had no choice. I needed the money, and it better be worth it. I arrived at the place, and my boss was waiting outside for me. "Hello, sir," I greeted. "Shut your mouth," he replied. I was surprised. "Excuse me? Is there a problem?" I asked. "Yeah, there is." He began moving forward towards me. "That old security guard, the guy whose job you took, he's dead," he finished. You're kidding, right?" I asked. I knew he was dead. I just didn't want to believe it. "No, I ain't kidding. The funny thing is, you're the only person that could have been in there when that happened to him," he said. "What are you saying?" I questioned. Quit playing innocent. You know that you killed him. I have no evidence other than you being with him at the time of the incident, but I'll find more evidence, and you'll be locked up," he finished. "Sir, I can tell you that I've never even met the person. I didn't commit this crime," I replied. "Then who did it? An intruder? There were no signs of forced entry. The animatronics? Impossible." He didn't wait for me to reply. He stormed away to his car and drove off. I entered and sprinted to the security office. I want to just get this night over with, and the only place I want to see those animatronics is on the cameras, not anywhere else. I entered the office and saw that I had a message. I thought it was from my boss, so I pressed play. I was completely wrong. What I heard was a deep voice saying a bunch of gibberish, along with a couple screams. The voice sounded a bit like Freddy's, and I'm sure it was. With the way he's been acting, I'm not surprised they left this horrid message. I couldn't even figure out what he was saying, which frightened me even more. I immediately picked up the tablet and began checking on Stage and Pirate Cove. Those places are where those creatures originate, so my safest bet was to watch those places carefully. Suddenly the camera went dark. I then began hearing pots and pans shuffling around. This made me tense up, because I knew one of those things was making these noises. When the cameras came back on, I checked everywhere for the animatronics. Freddy was still on stage, thankfully, but Bonnie and Chica were gone. The curtain in Pirate Cove was also halfway up, but that wasn't my main concern right now. I then tried to locate Bonnie and Chica. I found Bonnie at camera 3, and it was just staring at me through the camera. Its face up close enough that I could see its endoskeleton eyes. I began to scan for Chica, but I couldn't find her. I checked the door lights. Chica was outside, with her jaw wide open. I closed the door to avoid her getting in. As soon as I did that, I began hearing Freddy's tune play. I checked the cameras and saw Freddy in the audience area, and I could only see those white eyes. I checked the door lights and saw Chica was gone, so I opened the door. I checked the cameras again. Bonnie and Chica were now standing on opposite sides of Freddy. I checked Pirate Cove. The curtain was wide open. I closed the door immediately, knowing soon the fox would be here. I then checked the cameras and saw, laying next to Bonnie, was that fox. Its eyes were wide open, but it was limp. Suddenly the camera went black, and Freddy's tune got slower and more, well, demonic sounding. The cameras came back on, and I saw that now, in front of the whole gang, was a limp Freddy Fazbear suit, with eyes poking out the front of the mask, streams of blood stained down the sockets. The cameras went dark again, and the tune picked up speed gradually. I began hearing footsteps closing in at every angle, and I hit both door buttons as soon as I could, blacking out from the fear. I awoke to the banging on the door. I checked the time. 5:55 a.m. I checked the cameras and saw that each animatronic was in their respective spot. I thought my boss showed up early and wanted to come in, so I opened the door. When I did, I saw that same Freddy Fazbear suit, with the eyes poking out of the front. I was sure I could see some teeth, but I didn't look close. The last thing I noticed was a bib on its chest. It was the same one as Chica's, only there was dry blood all over it. I ran away. I left that building and I drove off as fast as I could, never looking back. 2 days later. I received a letter in the mail with my check from Freddy's and a "you're fired" note. I didn't care. I wanted a different job now. I didn't want to spend another day in that place. I contacted the authorities and told them about what I experienced in that place, but they told me I should just get some rest. Yeah, right. What happened in that place for kids was not right. There was something very wrong. I heard the place is scheduled to close down soon, but have a grand reopening next year. All I know is that whatever went on in there could not be achieved by an AI-controlled suit. I now see that what I once truly loved as a kid was all a big, nightmarish lie. Alexa! Alexa! Wake up! Alexa! I could hear my father faintly calling out to me. I felt so cold, as if I had been dead. I was frightened and embraced myself so hard that I popped the balloon without realizing it.